All the nerds get sweaty in this pawn shop. They got old floppy disk readers. They got those old radio-powered globes where you can only see Alaska when there's a rap song playing. The real ones know that the real rap comes out of Alaska. Fools are going like East Side, West Side. No, North Side 777. It's the one where Jimmy Fallon stumbled out of a snowbank like a zombie escaping the freezer. Like the heroes said, all right, 3 ways to kill a zombie. Separate the spine from the brain, burn it, get it rather chilly. But no, Jimmy Fallon is now a mass of icicles and pale flesh shambling toward you. And the only way to stop it is to release the legendary ice rapper, not Ice-T, come on, who lives in the subaquatic igloo caves of southern Alaska. It's still cold. You hear southern and think, oh, it's balmy and there's old people lounging on furniture named for the act of lounging, sipping on their sunglasses and weaving baskets out of pond lice. Those are bugs that are fish. Like, you know how they have fish? Like, there's silverfish, but those aren't fish. Well, pond lice are both. It's fish with exoskeletons, just stabbing each other with proboscises and swapping their blood back and forth. This is how they reproduce. You get enough. You need to have 7 different pond lice blood samples within one louse. And then the next time it goes to stab, instead of blood, is babies squirting out. It was a brave champion. Boof was... Look, it's boof, okay? I want you to work it out of your system. I know you're looking at this name with your ear eyes and you're saying, oh, what an ugly name. I'll never venerate a hero named Boof. You're gonna have to learn to venerate Boof, okay? Whatever, you get the puns out of your system. John Wilkes Boof, the toll Boof rings for thee. 1875 Boof '09. I wish that I had Jesse's Boof. Are we done? All right, thank you. So Boof takes the louse saber and dives into the pond. All these bugs look at each other like, can we mate with that thing? And so they send a scout deeper into the water mines to find the bug elder, who lives inside of a droplet of highly dense air pocket. You go in there and it's like your eyeballs might burst, but pond lice don't have eyeballs. They just have radios that play classical music to fend off the fiery cataclysm that is history's greatest rapper, whose boiling potency steams the unknown into squishy molten fear within their fish hearts. The elder has a lumpy armpit. They go to him and say, what's the deal with, if 7 of us go and we mouth stab this human together, do we get to have part human children? But the elder just says, oh, what is wrong with my armpit? Are you a doctor? And the scout says, no, we don't have those. Elder says, well, is Boof a doctor? And then there's a bit of a, who's Boof? He's the invader. How do you know? Armpit magic exchange that goes on. So now this scout has to make the return trip. Find Boof. It's not hard. The pond lice are giving Boof a wide berth because they don't know what is happening, except an armed swimmer might be fertile enough to impregnate with their mouths. And boy, this took a turn. Anyway, the scout is now the brave hero. Let's call him Foob. Look, bugs don't have names. I'm flying blind here. Let me friggin' have this. And it's probably about time that I told you he had a ponytail. Why is a bug making such an intense fashion statement that he himself fashioned out of hair that emerged from a drain pipe that empties into the pond from one apartment? The landlord said, "Oh, you've never missed a payment on your rent. You are a model tenant. Why are you shaving so much, and what are you shaving?" And she said, "The less you know, the happier you'll be. Leave me to my horrors." Landlord said, "We can't be doing this. The water and waste departments are both on my asshole trying to figure out why our building vents about 20 pounds of hair per hour. Do you need some help?" And she says, "The moment for help has long passed me by. So thanks, but no thanks. This will never stop." Landlord says, "There's gotta be a workaround here." She says, "You let me know." And then 6 months later, he lets her know. Says, we've got a solution. You will love it, some fish will not." And she says, "I'm too busy to have this conversation right now." And you can hear the razor scritching away in the background. She's like, "But this problem is off of my to-do list?" Landlord says, "Yeah, it was never on there." And she's like, "Damn straight." So now her hair, or the hair of whatever she's shaving, that part's unclear. Maybe there's a curse involved. Maybe she has a hair ghost. It's just one day she decided, early quarantine, she was like, "I'm going to give myself a haircut." And she did it so badly that the fallen hair came to life like, "I am your master now. Crouch!" And so she does, because she's horrified beyond belief, and defiance requires a level of clarity of which she was incapable in that moment, and the hair reaches into its back pocket and pulls out a saddle, rides her around screeching "Yee-haw, yee-haw," and then the middle of the night, 4 weeks later, once she's finally regained enough of a sense of self to stand up to this, she waits until it's asleep, right? Goes at it with the razor, thinks her nightmare is over. It's not. Her nightmare is just shorter now, and it immediately starts regrowing before her eyes, and she says, it worked briefly once, it'll work briefly again. And from that point forward, or maybe it's not that. Maybe she's just got the weird hairy elbow crook, and she doesn't want anybody to know. So now she's a shut-in. She prays to Hera every night. "Oh, goddess of the hearth, please burn away my elbow difficulties." And Hera appears to her in a vichyssoise plate, rippling across the kitchen table like the planchette on a Ouija board, and spells out, "Nein." And she says, "Hera's German?" And then the Ouija dinner flips over. A couple of shrimp stick up her nostrils. She screams and screams, then eventually blows her nose. Shrimp come out, and she says, "All right, Greek mythology not hooking me up. Oh, please, Ahura Mazda, wax my crook." And then the milk hammer, the one she uses to flatten out milk, it turns into one of those radio globes and says, "One moment, please." And the face of Ahura Mazda, with his 6 eyeballs and 1 pink lollipop, spits out from the information, only to summon further shrimp. The air is so dense with flopping crustaceans, she can't even breathe. Trying to get some oxygen, she's breathing shrimp. That's a confusing trip to the inhaler. The albuterol hits her lungs, looks around and says, "Is this even worth the effort?" And then she tucks her eyeballs inside of her own respiratory tract and stares threateningly at the cloud of medicine until it gets itself right, turns into boof heroes of its own, eradicates these shrimp. And then she says, you know what? Let's just shave it. Well, either way, the foob bug, fish pond louse guy, reaches Boof. Boof obviously swings with the louse saber, but Foob's nimble. It dodges, lands atop the blade. Boof ceases his breaststroke, and a tactical question of how shall I fell this slippery foe turns into an existential labyrinth. How can one stab that which stands upon one's implement of stabbing? Is the undoing of that which has been done a new occurrence, or simply a reinstigation of the primordial order's immutability? What even is time? And Foob can tell Boof's in a bad spot right now, crawls up the hilt of the sword, pats him on the knuckle, says, there, are you by any chance an armpit doctor? Boof says, how did you know? Foob says, armpits, don't worry about it, follow me. They go together down into the secrets and excavate the germ swans from the armpit of this elderly fish bug. And now, the armpit magic flows uninhibited. Boof is about to make his request, doesn't need to, because the louse wizard knows, goes, and then the ice wrapper emerges from betwixt the hydrogen, strides through the water as if climbing invisible stairs until the head, or, to use the proper terminology, the dome piece, breaks the waveless surface, steps upon the land. Frozen Fallon Zombie has almost reached the waterline, but then the legendary rapper lays down the fattest verse that she can fit through her throat, and Fallon splinters bone by bone, folding in on himself until he is an accordion of frozen blood. The rapper winks once at the remains and they burn away, turn to ash, blow off into the icy Alaskan sky, and then steps right back toward the water. Boof goes, wait, I didn't even get your name. Rapper says, damn straight.